When two B-17 seconds flew side by side, the 31st of December 1944 is New Year's Eve. However, a number of courageous young men are not celebrating today, as they are involved in the crew of 37 aircraft that are currently conducting a mission to attack oil refineries in the vicinity of Hamburg. The surviving aircraft have been flying through flak for more than an hour since they completed their mission. The darkness obscures the sky. The little skipper, a B-17G, is under the command of Lieutenant Glenn Rohan. He and his crew are frantically attempting to navigate through the flak, evading the plumes of smoke and fire that are erupting all around them and their companions. Eventually, the aircraft reaches the North Sea, and the flak dissipates much to the relief of all. The aircraft now fly in a straight and level trajectory, and the crews are vigilant for any potential enemy fighters. They assume a formation. The B-17 seconds are journeying at a significantly slower pace due to the strong headwind. Their presence is abruptly detected. The B-17 seconds are attacked at 22000 feet and a battle ensues. Wave after wave of German Me-109 fighters buzz and strafe the American aircraft, and there are an infinite number of enemies. Maintaining a compact formation is the most effective defense, but the fighters remain unyielding, resulting in the destruction of numerous B-17 seconds. Rohan and his crew are able to observe the faces of the pilots of the Me-109 seconds as they approach during their attack passes. B-17 seconds are renowned for their fortitude. However, they are capable of withstanding only a limited amount of damage. The Lucky Lassie assumes the role of alternate commander as a result of the numerous aircraft crashes, and the other planes respond by establishing a tight defensive formation around her. A sudden flash erupts, revealing to Rohan the terrifying sight of severe damage to the aircraft in front of him. Exit the formation and descend toward the sea. Lieutenant Rohan is required to cover the void in the new formation as the fighters are swarming in all directions. He increases the speed of his aircraft to cover the gap and restores the defensive integrity of the formation as it attempts to return home, resolutely gunning it forward. Although the Me-109 seconds are merciless, they have struck another B-17, the 9 lives, just beneath Rohan's aircraft. Although the aircraft continues to operate, the pilot and co-pilot have been evacuated. The lieutenant was unaware of the situation. At this juncture, they come to the realization that they have collided and are now ensnared in flight with another B-17. The fuselage of the 9 lives had collided with the underside of the small skipper. Locked in the bottom of the top plane was the top gun turret of the bottom aircraft. The tail of the lower plane is slightly to the left of Rohan's tailpiece, and the two bombers are almost precisely aligned. Bill Leake later recalled that their attachment to each other resembled that of dragonflies. 3 of the engines in the lower aircraft and all 4 in the upper plane are currently operational.
Formation reforming. We're still flying.
Nevertheless, the hydraulics and electrics of the small skipper were damaged in the collision, and the planes were rapidly losing altitude as a result of a fire that had broken out in the stopped engine. Rohan endeavors to separate the aircraft through a variety of maneuvers, but it is an impossible task. He reluctantly resolves to return to Germany, as he is aware that it would be exceedingly hazardous to attempt to return to England.
Engine 3 is burning, but we're holding. She's still flying.
The crew's best chance of survival was to attempt to limp to shore, as bailing out over the water was exceedingly hazardous. The small skipper's engines are disabled by Rohan in response to the spreading fire. The pilot and co-pilot show remarkable airmanship by maneuvering the immobilized aircraft and returning them to Germany.
Engine 3's burning, but we're holding. She's still flying.
German aircraft batteries detect them as they approach the coast. 2 fortresses collided in a formation in the northeast, as the German captain of one documented in his logbook. The aircraft flew in formation and traveled 20 miles south. The 2 aircraft were no longer capable of engaging in combat. The accident could be anticipated, Therefore, I discontinued firing at these two aircraft. Rojon fought to maintain control of the aircraft to maximize the likelihood of his personnel safely bailing out.
Little Skipper, you have 1 on your 6, check
The
high right.
diminutive captain was evacuated by 6 men who parachuted. Rojon instructed Leek to evacuate the aircraft. However, Leek was aware that it required 2 individuals to exert an immense amount of effort to maintain the plane's altitude.
Little Skipper, you
Rojon
have
was
1 on your
certain
6,
to
check
die
high
as the
right.
plane spiraled out of control if he had bailed
If I jump
out.
now, the spin will tear me apart before the chute opens.
Lieutenant Leek declined to comply with the directive. The 2 men were to witness the ultimate conclusion of this flight. Having previously bailed out and drifted down from his parachute, Navigator Lieutenant Robert Washington observed the peculiar sight of the 2 aircraft stuck together as they disappeared towards the ground in the distance. The 2 aircraft, one on top of the other, were approaching the ground at an alarming rate. In a last-minute Herculean effort to provide the aircraft with the maximum lift, both men said their prayers and retracted the stick as the ground rushed up before them. To stabilize themselves, they were compelled to place their boots on the console and exert an excessive amount of force on the steering yoke. In northern Germany, as the aircraft approached Tetten's field, they collided with the ground. The 9 lives disintegrated upon impact, causing the diminutive captain to accelerate and slide along the ground. The aircraft disintegrated after a wing collided with a wooden structure. The plane was nearly entirely obliterated, and wreckage was scattered in all directions. The 2 men who were still in their seats miraculously survived as the plane's nose came to rest and silence descended. Brodron and Leek emerged from the wreckage just as a German soldier approached to apprehend them. Regrettably, not all of the airmen were able to escape on that particular day. In total, 6 crew members survived the Little Skipper, while 4 fled and survived the 9 lives. However, the mere fact that any survived was an extraordinary accomplishment. The Germans apprehended all survivors. Lieutenant Glenn Rojon was granted the Distinguished Flying Cross for his actions that day. However, he consistently acknowledged Leek's role in sparing his life. Glenn Rojon was able to locate Bill Leek and establish communication with him in 1986, although the 2 men had lost touch after the conflict. The 100th Bomb Group's reunion in Long Beach, California in 1987 ultimately reunited the 2 men and the surviving crew. We would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to Cindy Rojon, the daughter of Captain Rojon, for her assistance in compiling the information for this script. We are solely responsible for any errors.